بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. We are on page 138 on the chapter of abstinence. It's going to talk about different ways of dealing with our attachment to the world and renunciation of the world. So he talks about two different things here in the next two aphorisms. So number one, we're 226, and then we'll do 227. So 226, page 138 of the Book of Wisdom, Ibn Ata'illah rahimahullah says, لِيَقِلَّ مَا تَفْرَحُ بِهِ يَقِلَّ مَا تَحْزَنُ عَلَيْهِ لِيَقِلَّ مَا تَفْرَحُ بِهِ يَقِلُّ مَا تَحْزَنُ عَلَيْهِ. So that your sadness over something be little, let your joy in it be little. So that your sadness over something be little, let your joy in it be little. In other words, what he's saying is that don't try to attain too many things that excite you a lot, because everything in the world that excites you, ultimately, it perishes. It gets old, it gets defective, it breaks down, and then you get upset. So let there not be too many things that excite you too much of the dunya, so you don't have to worry about the letdown afterwards. Just think of football teams. Just think of a specific car that you need, or a specific bike it may be, a specific watch, whatever it is. Just imagine if it gets stolen or lost. Of course, you need to get things that you need, and that's completely fine. So what you need, you get. But don't obsess so much about the dunya that you get so excited about certain things, because inevitably something's going to happen. And then you get really upset. So if you want less upset in this world, then just do less of that. So that's the simple rule here. Let's see how the commentator describes that in a bit more detail. So he says, if you want to be ever happy, so he takes it slightly differently. He says that if you want to always be happy, إِذَا أَرَدْتَ أَن يَدُومَ سُرُورُكَ, if you want your happiness to be permanent, فَلَا تَمْلِكْ شَيْئًا تَحْزَنُ عَلَى فَقْدِهِ, then don't ever own something that you're going to feel bad if you lose. Because, why? لِأَنَّ حُزْنُكَ عَلَى فَقْدِهِ دَلِيلُ مَحَبَّتِكَ لَهُ, because you're becoming upset and your sadness and grief over the loss of it is proof that you loved it in the first place. So that means you love it. So if you're going to now just suffice on durura, on what's absolutely necessary for you to have in your life, and whatever you need, and that means of either wealth, property, jah, which means position, respect, honor, fame, you need a certain amount to get a certain job done, or honor, or anything else, then that's fine, because that much is what you need. So what's essential, that much you need it, but then after that, you're not going to find anything that you're going to get upset over, because there's nothing that you're obsessed about. Whatever you need, you have to have anyway. But it's going beyond that. So somebody was asked, لِمَ لَا تَغْتَمْ, why don't I ever see you sad? Why are you never grieved? Why do you never get upset? He said, because لِأَنِّي لَا أَقْتَنِي مَا يَغُمُّنِي, I never select, I never obtain anything that that will upset me. I never obtain anything that will upset me. That's why one of the poets said, وَمَنْ صَرَّهُ أَلَّا يَرَى مَا يَسُوءُ فلا يتخذ شيئا يخاف له فقدا فإن صلاح المرء يرجع كله فسادا إذا الإنسان جاز به الحدا. Whoever it pleases that they never experience anything that they dislike, then they should not obtain and adopt anything that they would fear to lose. They should not get anything that they fear losing, because the welfare of a person, all of it goes back to Salah al-Mar. Essentially, everything that you might want, ultimately everything is going to perish, of this world at least. especially if a person goes beyond the limits, then it's going to perish anyway. There was a king of the old times. You still get kings today. So a very, a king, and mashallah, somebody showed him an amazing vessel, a studded vessel that had lots of jewels encrusted. So it's encrusted jewels, right? Encrusted with jewels on this amazing cup or whatever it was. Right? لم يرى له نظير. There was nothing ever seen like it. It's a Lamborghini studded with gems and diamonds, like some people have today, right? And he got really, because he has the ability to obtain this and to buy this, so he got really, really, really excited by this. فَفَرِحَ فَرَحًا شَدِيدًا. Very, very happy with this. So one of the wise people, these kind of people have these wise people sitting around them. So he said, كيف ترى هذا? What do you think of this? So he said, أراه مصيبة وفقرا. I see this as a source of difficulty for you and a source of your poverty, your need and your poverty. So I see this as, he literally said, I see this as a difficulty and poverty and need. How are you saying that? كيف ذاك? What are you talking about? You don't make that connection, do you? Right? You don't make that connection when you see something that you want. You're not going to make that connection. So then he explained, he said, look, in inkasar, if it breaks, كان مصيبة لا صبر لها. That's going to be such a calamity for you that you won't be able to bear it. You won't be able to tolerate it. You'll have no sabr for it if it breaks. Because after you paid all of this for it, you obsessed with it so much, you loved it so much, and then it breaks. You're going to have no sabr. It's going to grieve you a lot. وَإِن سُرِقَ, and if it was stolen, then سِرْتَ فَقِيرًا إِلَيْهِ. If it got stolen, then you're going to be constantly looking out for it. Where is it? Who's got it? That means you're going to be in need of it. You're not going to be independent of it. Is that need that he's talking about? وَلَمْ تَجِدْ مِثْلَ, and you're not going to find anything like it because this is unique. There's only one piece like that in the world. The craftsman who made it is dead. You can't get another one like that. Now the thing is, he says, وَقَدْ كُنْتَ قَبْلَ أَن يُحْمَلْ إِلَيْكَ فِي أَمْنٍ مِنَ الْمُصِيبَةِ وَالْفَقْرِ. Before this was brought in front of you, you were completely safe. You were free of any kind of need and any kind of difficulty. You didn't have the burden. There was nothing that was going to, you were happy without it. You were completely happy without it. You didn't need it. You had no need towards it. The king obviously took it. He didn't listen to the advice. And then the cup, that vessel, it broke. And he obviously had a huge difficulty to deal with that. And that's when he said, صَدَقَ الْحَكِيمُ, this sage and wise man told the truth. لَيْتَهُ لَمْ يُحْمَلْ إِلَيْنَا, I wish it had never been brought to me. Hey, do you want to buy this? I got a really good deal. Somebody's offered me this. I wish it had never come to me. Because my life was completely fine before it. I think that's probably the way to decide whether we need something or not. How was my life before it? Because greed will never stop, right? Wanting something more will never stop. And the more money you have, the more ability you have, the more high position you get into this, the more it's going to come around. I was speaking to somebody who deals with, fancy watches, but he does them to sell, right? So when you get into the business, or whether it be cars, or whether it be whatever it be, then the doors keep opening up because you're in that field. And then you just want more and more and more. Unless you're just doing business with it, and that's a different issue. Because you're using it to make some money. Then our commentator says that there's another scale to figure this out. It's even better to understand this from, which is that if you are able to just let yourself not be obsessed by any of this. Just let it loose under the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, essentially saying. Why don't you just let yourself be under the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Essentially, the way he describes it in Arabic, he says, وَجَعَلْتَهَا غَرَضًا لِسِهَامِ أَقْدَارِ رَبِّكَ. Just make it a target for the arrows that come from the destiny of your Lord. Just allow yourself to be struck by the arrows of destiny, of predestination. Essentially saying, let yourself be under the command of Allah and let Him do whatever He wants with you. Don't plan anything except, your essentials. Don't plan anything else, and let it be that, oh Allah, I am here, do as you will with me. Shoot as many arrows of your destiny, because everything that happens to us, metaphorically, they're all arrows of destiny, right? If you understand the idea. He says, لا تعارض فيما يفعل بك. Don't ever compete or confront Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with what He wants you to be or to do, or what circumstance He wants you to be in. Don't ever confront Him with that. Just say, okay, that's what you want? Khalas, no problem. So there's one Sheikh, Haji Imdadullah, his name is. He's, like I could say, my great grand Sheikh. It's like the fourth or fifth Sheikh up. Once he became sick and he decided that, Ya Allah, he literally told Allah, he said, Ya Allah, you know I'm sick. It came from you in the first place. I'm not even going to ask you to make me better. I'm going to leave it to you. For as long as you want me to be sick, I'll be fine with that. If you want me to be cured, I'll be fine with that as well. That's a difficult thing to do. It can only do that if you've literally let yourself go to Allah. That doesn't mean you become a waste man of some sort, that you don't do anything. You carry on doing what's important in life. But it's just that you don't obsess over the things that are not necessary for us. You still do what's important. You carry on pursuing that. But then you just leave it to Allah for whatever He wants, whatever success He wants to give me, wherever He wants to take me, whatever He wants me to do, whatever He wants to use me for. They're the best of the people. And that's why he then says, don't ever confront Him in anything that He does for you. And then, لا شك أنك تستريح ويدوم فرحك. He says, then there will be no doubt that you will then relax. Only then will you actually be in comfort. And you will relax, and your happiness will be forever. And the reason explains, because in that case, لأنك حينئذ منتظر ما يبرز من عند الحبيب. You can only do that if you love Allah. And if you realize that Allah is the greatest entity there is that you can love, you can only do that. Because why would you leave yourself to Allah if you don't trust Him? The only way that, and the only reason you would give yourself up and say, Ya Allah, do whatever you want with me, if you trust Allah to have everything in His power, to have the best knowledge about whatever, and to be the best planner. You love Allah. So that's why he's saying, because in that case, all you're doing is you are just awaiting whatever comes from your beloved. You're completely selfless in that regard. Whatever will come from your beloved, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَتَلَقَّاهُ بِالرِّضَى وَالتَّرْحِيبِ. Then you will just accept it with absolute approval and welcome. وَهَذِهِ حَلَاوَةٌ. And for any person who loves something and things are coming from his beloved and he's just taking them, that is the highest satisfaction you can have in this world. And if that beloved is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so then he's saying that this will be such a sweetness, right? This will be a sweetness. وَهَذِهِ حَلَاوَةُ بَرْدِ الرِّضَى وَالتَّسْلِيمِ. This is the sweetness that comes from the coolness that you will get of just submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, we might not be able to do that in everything in life. To jump to that status is obviously very, very difficult. Let us at least do that in as many things as we can. And slowly, slowly we start submitting to Allah. And it becomes easy, because then difficulties come. It's like, okay, that's what Allah wills. What do I do about it? You will stop complaining. You'll stop getting agitated, because you can't do anything anyway. It doesn't mean that you can't ask for shifa or whatever, but at least you'll stop complaining. You'll stop getting agitated. You'll stop feeling like a victim, right? And it will not stunt our growth, because our growth then can continue, because we have not relied on this to let us grow. Our growth will continue, and this will not disturb us. He said that فَإِن صَحِبَهَا شُهُودُ الْفَاعِلِ الْمُخْتَارِ فَهُوَ النَّعِيمُ الْمُقِيمُ. That's how you get continuous bounty in the world, because all of it is coming from Allah. So you just say, everything that happens to me, it's happening from Allah. It's a gift from Allah, because there's reward in me dealing with this, in me being patient in the face of this. I'm being elevated, I'm being rewarded. So it's a gift ultimately. A lot of the times difficulties are very tough, and more tough psychologically, because we feel, why me? What have I done wrong? And that actually creates worse. So if it's like, okay, I expected it, it's going to have to happen, okay, then it just suddenly psychologically it just makes it better. And pain is psychological. Okay, there is physical pain, but psychological pain is just worse. It compounds the physical pain, right? You go to a dentist and you know that there's gonna be some pain, right? If you've never been to a dentist, you just don't know, you're much more fearful. But if you know, and you know there's gonna be that, but you know the dentist is a good guy, he's Jameel, right? He's decent, right? Elegant guy. Then after that, it's just like, okay, fine. You know, it's gonna be whatever it is. Psychologically, you're just prepared for that, right? So, subhanallah. He says, this is wilayatul kubra. You know, when you talk about awliya, he said, this is it. This is wilayatul kubra. This is the big wilaya. You can't be a wali until you give up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then they just don't get bothered as much. And then he says that once you attain this, you can't be let go from this. This is such a status that Allah gives to you. You don't get fired from this status unless you mess up yourself. You don't get fired. So with anything of the world, you will attain a status and then you become passive, you become complacent, the board changes, and then suddenly you're not good anymore. You're no longer good anymore. They change the policies and you need to go and learn something new. Things keep changing in the world. But with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once you've given yourself up to Him, there's nothing that will change in that regard. And again, let us start bit by bit. Let us just start bit by, let's think, what can we just give up to? Just remember that every time that a choice comes, when we want to buy something, when we want to acquire something, when we want to do something, when we select something, and especially when a difficulty comes to us or an opportunity comes to us, let's just say, Ya Allah, let me do it the way you want to do. And we won't be successful all the time because you can't become a wali overnight usually, unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just switches something on, right? So it's by effort, but it definitely will make our life easier. This is what Sheikh Abdullah Kangohi says about this. He says, in most cases, the cause of man's grief and worry is the loss of worldly objects. The loss of wealth and property is one example only. The possession of such objects, on the other hand, produces a lot of pleasure and comfort. If anyone wishes to decrease grief and worry, he should decrease his worldly possessions. He will not then possess the things that cause him grief. The greater man's worldly possessions, the greater will be his grief and sorrow. The heart will not find peace. Thus the intelligent man will content himself with necessary requirements and eliminate superfluous possessions, extra possessions that you don't really need, just having them around. In this way he acquires the peace and comfort of both worlds. Right, the next one is aphorism number 227, also on page 138. Ibn Ata'illah says, إن أردت أن لا تعزل فلا تتولى ولاية لا تدوم لك. إن أردت أن لا تعزل فلا تتولى ولاية لا تدوم لك. If you do not want to be dismissed, if you never want to be fired and lose that honor, then do not take charge of a post that will not always be yours. Just think about it. I'm a committee member today, right? I'm a director. But do you think you can remain a director forever? Right? Of course, dururatan, if you need to take it, go ahead. It's what you need to make money, or whatever the case. But if it's something that you want to take for honor, then one day you're going to lose it. It's going to have to be lost somehow or the other. So do not take charge of a post that is not guaranteed to be yours. Subhanallah. So now he moves on more to status rather than just possession, right? So this is more about status. It's a continuation of the previous one that we have read. And this one, the commentator explains this as, he says, any kind of authority that you gain, any kind of position that you obtain, right, that can't remain permanent. So the kind of status or position that doesn't remain forever is one that comes from creation and the world. Because everything in the world has to end, it gets messed up, it gets corroded, it expires, it gets completed, it perishes, it expires. There's multiple ways that kind of thing happens to the world. For example, you become the king, you become the ruler, you become the president, you become the prime minister, you become the counselor, you become a judge, you get a position of some sort. Among all of these different kind of positions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows His slaves to have, these are positions of the world, right? And that could be the imamate job, could be imam, you become the imam, right? Just depends on why you do it. If you're doing it as status, I'm the imam now, my son's the imam now, right? That's different from, I need to do this because Allah Ta'ala has given me this responsibility to lead people. That's two different things, right? Of why you may want the imamate position. Of course, what's included in here is for you to have money, because that's also a position, is to become wealthy. That's a position as well. Especially if it's something that bigs you up, if it's something that gives you additional honor because you have that money, that's why. Right? Likewise, if you were born into a family that has that, and now you take that on, and it gets, it's something that you value a lot, in a sense that you want it as a position. You value as a lot in the sense that, mashallah, I've got a very, very generous family, or I've got a very honorable family, I need to maintain that honor. That's different. But this is where I've got a very big family, everybody respects them, they're frightened of them, they basically listen to them, right? So if it's something you're taking as some massive honor or something like that, and any other kind of leadership of the dunya, the problem is that all of that one day is going to end. It's going to end. And it's going to eventually leave behind it need and humiliation in many cases. So he says that the only wilayah, the only authority and position that actually lasts forever is when it's related to Allah. So you become honorable because of Allah. You become honorable because you are able to worship Allah. You're able to give a lot more time to Allah. You're able to do things for the sake of Allah. And you've become independent through Allah, because you've given up on so many things, because what Allah has given you, you're sufficed with that. You don't care about other things as much. You've become to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now you don't really care about anything else, in terms of you don't obsess with anything else. فَلَا شَكَّ أَنَّ هَذِهِ وِلَايَةٌ لَا تَنْقَطِعُ. Then there's no doubt that this kind of authority, this kind of position will never end. Because Allah never ends. Allah doesn't expire. وَالشَّرَفٌ لَا يَنْفَدْ. It's an honor that will never be lost. وَعِزٌّ لَا يَبِيدْ. And it's a position of might that doesn't go away. So Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, rahimahullah. Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak was an interesting person. He grew up with a lot of money. His father was very wealthy, very pious, very wealthy. But Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak got first into drinking. So he used to have these nights where he used to drink, and he used to get drunk, and he used to play the harp, some kind of instrument like a harp. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had written for him something quite amazing. I don't know, it's just his name, Abdullah, slave of Allah, son of Mubarak, son of the blessed one. I mean, you can't get any better than that, man. Give your children good names at least. So he got messed up. He got messed up in his teenage years, you could say. He got messed up. And then suddenly one day he hears this verse from the Quran, Surah Al-Hadid, أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَمَا نَزَلَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ. And he just completely changes, and he goes and becomes one of the greatest muhaddithin, one of the greatest muhaddiths, and one of the greatest mujahids. And it's just amazing what he becomes. So then he got so much honor, like people just wanted to see him. They just wanted to catch a glimpse of him. He was tabu'ut tabi'i, so he hadn't seen any sahaba, but he'd seen the tabi'in, so he was of that third level. Tabu'ut tabi'i, the successors of the successors, and obviously a great alim. So one day he came to visit Harun al-Rashid. Now Harun al-Rashid is the king of the Abbasid Empire, right? At that time, it's glory days as well. Glory days of the Abbasids under Harun al-Rashid in Baghdad. So he comes in and he enters the ranks of the forces. Goes to visit the forces, right? And Allahu Akbar, the armed forces, they are just rushing all over to try to get a glimpse of him. to meet him, to shake his hands or whatever it is. In kabba alayhi al-askaru li ziyarat. They just wanted to see him. You know, the forces of Harun al-Rashid. He says, it says, فَوَقَعَ مِنَ الْإِزْدِهَامِ ضَجَّةٌ كَبِيرًا. It was a massive chaos that ensued. Like, that's just how many people. You can imagine, I mean, that's the superpower of the world at the time, right? Abbasids. And there's a huge force they've got. And whatever contingent he'd gone into, it's very chaotic. حَتَّى تَقَطَّعَتِ النِّعَالِ وَارْتَفَعَتِ الْغُبْرَةِ. And, you know, people's slippers and sandals were getting torn apart and that, you know, stepping on each other, whatever it was. And it was becoming what do you call it? The sand and everything was just coming up because it was just so much movement. So, Ya Allah, one of the concubines of Harun al-Rashid just looks out from one of her windows like, what's going on out there? What's all this commotion about? فَلَمَّا رَأَتْ كَثْرَةَ النَّاسِ وَازْدِحَامًا. When she saw how many people had gathered together and the foray that was taking place, مَا هَذَا, what's going on? She said, what's going on here? She said, she was told that this is عَالِمُ خُرَاسَان. So Abdullah ibn Mubarak was from Marw. He was a Marwazi, which is in Turkmenistan today, which is Khurasan area. He said, this is the scholar of Khurasan. He's come and everybody's just, you know, these are, today you'd call them fans or something like that, some crazy people, right? In those days it was probably a bit better, wallahu alam. So she couldn't help it. She has Harun Rashid, right? But she says, هَذَا وَاللَّهِ هُوَ الْمَلِكُ وَالْعِزْ or مُلْكُ وَالْعِزْ. Wallahi, this is proper kingdom and sovereignty and honor. This is proper kingdom and sovereignty. La mulku Harun. Not Harun's sovereignty. Not the Khalif. الَّذِي يَجْمَعُ النَّاسِ بِالصَّوْتِ وَالْعِصِيِّ. The one who gathers people together using whips and staffs to get them together to, you know, stand in procession. Now, that's great. But, you know, the next part is what has sold this to me if it hadn't been sold before. It's absolutely amazing, right? If we're concerned about our children and grandchildren and descendants until the Day of Judgment, then this is the way for it. There's no better way. There is no other way, in fact. وَأَيْضًا الْوِلَايَةُ الَّتِي تَدُومُ تَنْسَحِبُ عَلَيْهِ وَعَلَى ذُرِّيَّتِهِ. If we do achieve this, he says, the commentator tells us that if you do achieve this, this is something that will not just benefit you, but it will benefit your descendants. It will benefit your descendants, right? ثُمَّ تَدُومُ فِيهِمْ عَلَى قَدْرِ جَاهِهِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. How long, how many generations will it benefit them? For as much as you gain with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The stronger, the more intense your connection with Allah, that's how much further down it will go through generations. فَكُلُّ مَنْ عَظُمَتْ وِلَايَتَهُ دَامَتْ عَلَى أَوْلَادِهِ وَأَتْبَاعِهِ بِقَدْرِ ذَلِكَ الْوِلَايَةِ. He says that anybody whose wilaya with Allah, whose connection with Allah, friendship with Allah, association with Allah increases, then that benefit will then remain with his children and his followers up to that amount that he has a connection. And he says, if you want to understand this from the Quran, I'll prove it to you in Surah An-Nisa, verse 9, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلْيَخْشَ الَّذِينَ لَوْ تَرَكُوا مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّةً ضِعَافًا خَافُوا عَلَيْهِمْ. So there's a discussion there that those people should be fearful that if they were to have left behind them their descendants, weak descendants, how they would be fearful of them. If you have children that are weak, they don't stand on their own feet, and you're worried about them because they're weak, how would you fear, how much fear you would have that if I die, what's going to happen to them? Because right now you're trying to help them out. You're there to look after them. But if you die, then you're really, really worried. So that goes to show that people are concerned about that. And then, وَلْيَخْشَ الَّذِينَ خَافُوا عَلَىٰ أَوْلَادِهِمْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَحْفَظُهُ فِيهِمْ. If you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala look after them, then you don't have to worry about it. That's why in Surah Al-Kahf, you know the story of Surah Al-Kahf when Musa alayhi salam is going on his special trip to see the wonders of the world, right? That seem to be so different from what you see on the outward face of it. The last case was that wall that he started fixing in that area that they did not host them. So it was an area they needed some food or something. They asked for some hospitality. The guys refused. And interestingly enough, there's a wall there that's about to break. So he goes and starts fixing it. Musa says, like, the guys who gave us a free boat ride, you damaged their boat. These guys don't give us hospitality and you're fixing a wall here. And then it turned out that actually wall belonged to those orphans. And so it says that it wasn't necessarily his father that it wasn't necessarily because of their father or their mother that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had gotten Khadir alayhi salam to sort the wall out. It was their 7th grandfather. 7th great grandfather, 7 up. So now that's amazing that 7th grandfather must be such a great guy that 7 descendants down, 7 generations down, you're benefiting as continue from the friendship you had. This is a friendship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He will continue to bless those after you. This is just amazing. فَحِفْظُ اللَّهِ كَنْزَ الْيَتَامَى بِبَرَكَةِ صَلَاحِ الْجَدِّ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was now protecting with a complete stranger this property, right? Because of their grandfather, the barakah of their grandfather. So then he says, look, if you do have any other position of honor, aside from that which is connected to Allah and permanent, right? So if you have an impermanent honor, place of honor, you received it, you became the MP or whatever it is, that you wanted it for honor, not to help, where your focus is not help, so you're a career politician, for example. You got it because you want to just prove that I can do it. My family did it. I did it. Or you can then get contracts afterwards. Whatever the selfish reasons are and the corrupt reasons are, right? If you're going to get anything like that, something that is impermanent, then just be careful. فَكُنْ فِيهَا عَلَى حَضَرٍ, he says. Just be careful, right? وَلَا تَغْتَرْ بِحَلَاوَةِ بِدَايَتِهَا. And don't get too excited and deceived by the sweetness of its beginning. When you get into it and you start getting all of this praise and contacts and connections, don't get to فَإِنَّ نِهَايَتَهَا مَرَارًا. Because usually the end of it is going to be very, very bitter. Very, very bitter. That is going to be the continuing theme of the next aphorism, which we'll do inshallah next time. But that will be the continuation of that discussion. And subhanallah, how many people there are that ruled their countries or their people with an iron fist, complete dictators, and then towards the end of their life, they became miserable, they became humiliated, they were either thrown out, they were dethroned, they were overthrown, or they became sick and weak and other things of that nature. And they did not, if the last part of your life is not the best part of your life, then what's the point of it? إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ. Actions are according to the ending states rather than the beginning states. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all a good state. So now this is Sheikh Abdullah Gangohi, this is how he comments on this. He says, this aphorism is an example of the former statement as well. The kingdom of the world has no true existence of its own, meaning it's not a permanent existence. It is transitory, temporary, and perishable, and only sustained by Allah. So go with the sustaination, essentially. Do not acquire it in abundance for its own sake, because you will be confronted with the grief of being dismissed from it one day. Even if you are not dismissed in worldly terms, death will ultimately tear you away from this kingdom anyway. What's it going to do for you afterwards? You will then suffer the grief of dismissal. Hence, abstain from the acquisition of this perishable kingdom. May Allah make this easy for us. May Allah allow us to go on this path, and may Allah, Ya Allah, allow us to just be connected to you and to only be excited by whatever comes from you and not to be excited by anything else. But oh Allah, give us our needs and suffice us and make us content with whatever you have given us so that we don't want more. That's the difficult part, because the world right now is about wanting more. The whole consumer market works on how much you spend. That's how healthy a society is. The whole thing has been changed. This isn't how non-Muslim society was before either. Right? This isn't how it was. People just got what they needed and that was it. There was not extra things that were always enticing you to get new things. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us. It's difficult. It is difficult. There's always a new product out there. There's always a new version, new edition, and something like that. May Allah protect us from becoming slaves to that. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث اللهم يا حنان يا منان لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين جزا الله عنا محمدا ما هو أهله يا غفار يا فتاح يا ستار يا حفيظ يا سلام يا لطيف يا لطيف يا لطيف يا ذا الجلال والإكرام اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا وعافنا واهدنا وارزقنا اللهم اغفر لأمة سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات Ya Allah, have mercy on us. Ya Allah, accept us. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, make us content. Ya Allah, satisfy us with you. Oh Allah, make us completely satisfied with you. Oh Allah, so that we don't have to look for satisfaction with anything else. Ya Allah. Oh Allah, make us completely content with your decree. Oh Allah, allow us, Ya Allah, to suffice with you and your enrichment. Oh Allah, Ya Ghani, Ya Mughni, Ya Ghani, Ya Mughni, Ya Ghani, Ya Mughni. Oh Allah, make us independent of all those besides you. Oh Allah, suffice us with the halal away from the haram. Oh Allah, allow us contentment with what you have given us, what you have given us abundantly, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, there's just so much more to obtain nowadays in the world. Oh Allah, there's so many things which entice us. Oh Allah, the glamour of it attracts us. Oh Allah, allow us to see through the facade to only achieve and attain what is useful and beneficial for us. Oh Allah, do not let us go after things that will then cause us misery. Oh Allah, do not make what you have given us a source of mischief for us. Oh Allah, do not make it a source of fitna for us. Oh Allah, do not make it a source of trial and test for us. Do not make it a source of punishment for us. Oh Allah, oh Allah, oh Allah, we ask you that you grant us well-being, permanent well-being, and the ability to thank you for your well-being. Oh Allah, for our well-being. Oh Allah, you have given us more than so many others in this world. Oh Allah, allow us to express gratitude to you. Do not make us from the ungrateful ones, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we sit here today in this masjid. Oh Allah, accept our gathering and sitting here. Oh Allah, accept our gathering and sitting here. Oh Allah, allow us to be infused with your remembrance. Oh Allah, allow us to be constantly in remembrance of you. Oh Allah, allow us to be satisfied with you in every sense. And oh Allah, make our lives easy in that sense. Oh Allah, all of our projects, oh Allah, accept for us. Oh Allah, complete for us. Oh Allah, bless us in them. Oh Allah, our masjid projects. Oh Allah, all the other projects that we have and that we have, grant us sincerity in all of these projects. Oh Allah, accept all of us for the service of your deen somehow. Oh Allah, allow us to serve your deen. Allow us to be of service to your deen. Oh Allah, allow us to venerate you and everything related to you and related to the deen and to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allow us to respect that which you respect. And allow us, oh Allah, do not make us attached to those things that you have no respect for. Oh Allah, help our brothers and sisters. Assist our brothers and sisters. Oh Allah, establish our brothers and sisters. Grant them their freedom, Ya Allah, against their aggressors. Oh Allah, grant them freedom. Oh Allah, grant them their izzah. Grant them their honor. Oh Allah, grant them a lot better in replacement for what they have lost, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, oh Allah, oh Allah, oh Allah, grant them fortitude. Oh Allah, grant them sabr. Oh Allah, remove their plight, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, assist us and allow us to do whatever we can to do that which brings betterment in this world. Oh Allah, bless all of those who assist us and who assist all of those who do good deeds. And oh Allah, allow us to constantly do those deeds which will make us closer to you, and to abstain from these that will distance us from you, Ya Allah. Those who've told us to make dua for them, oh Allah, bless them and grant them their permissible needs, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, those whom we should be making dua for because they have a right over us, oh Allah, bless them all. Oh Allah, bless our students. Oh Allah, bless our teachers, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, bless our benefactors. Oh Allah, bless all of those mashayikh of ours up to your Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And O Allah, allow us to have his company in the hereafter. Allow us to have his company in the hereafter. O Allah, allow us to have your wilayah. Allow us to have your association, special association with you, so that you can protect us. And you have given us these children, Ya Allah. You have given us families and offspring. Oh Allah, we can only submit them to you to look after. Oh Allah, we can't. Oh Allah, there is just so difficult. There are so many challenges, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, only you can assist us. Oh Allah, you gave us this responsibility. Allow us to fulfill it, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, make us good parents. Oh Allah, make us good guides. Oh Allah, make us good teachers, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, make us good leaders. Oh Allah, make us good people, good human beings, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, accept from all of us. Oh Allah, whoever is sitting here with any need in his heart that is righteous, oh Allah, accept it. Oh Allah, accept it. Remove our difficulties. Remove all the different griefs that we have in our life. Remove the sicknesses from us. Remove the difficulties that are coming in our path, Ya Allah, and assist us. Oh Allah, we ask for your assistance, for only you can assist, and nobody assists but you assist, and only you can make matters easy. Oh Allah, matters become easy when you have made them easy. Oh Allah, assist us in this regard. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifuna wa salamun al mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
The point of a lecture is to encourage people to act, to get further, an inspiration, an encouragement, persuasion. The next step is to actually start learning seriously, to read books, to take on a subject of Islam and to understand all the subjects of Islam, at least at their basic level, so that we can become more aware of what our deen wants from us. And that's why we started Rayyan courses, so that you can actually take organized lectures on demand whenever you have free time, especially, for example, the Islamic Essentials course that we have on there, the Islamic Essentials Certificate, which you take 20 short modules, and at the end of that, inshallah, you will have gotten the basics of most of the most important topics in Islam, and you'll feel a lot more confident. You don't have to leave lectures behind. You can continue to leave, to listen to lectures, but you need to have this more sustained study as well. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.